What's going on, guys? So I just got off of work and I want to give you guys my thoughts about the Samsung Unpacked event where they talked about the S25 lineup along with a lot of other things. I know a lot of other tech tubers have the devices in hand. Unfortunately, I don't have it, but I do have devices that I want to talk about that gives a bit of context about how I feel about the event and the way AI is invading the smartphone industry. But first, we got to give a shout out to the people who provided this TV and keep the lights on. It's our sponsor, nobody. On the table here, I have the S24 Ultra, the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the OnePlus 13, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And then here is the regular S24 from last year. So I want to kind of speed run through this because I am a little disappointed with the S25 lineup. Going from the previous generation to the latest generation of the S25, there's actually not that much improvement. If you want to tell the difference between this generation and the new generation is that there is a bit of a difference when it comes to the camera ring, which Samsung is now calling their iconic design, the vertical camera array, which I would say is true for Samsung devices. I would say one of the biggest changes from the S24 going up to the S25 is the new Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which we've already seen in the OnePlus 13, and as you guys can tell, has amazing battery life. Samsung did mention that they are building One UI 7 from the ground up, so hopefully with working with Qualcomm, learning the capabilities of what the chip can do, and also the new AI integration with One UI 7, the battery life, despite the battery being smaller, still will prolong the battery life really well compared to the OnePlus 7 that I believe has 6,000 milliamp hours, but the S series has remained the same from the previous generation. All right, now let's talk about the Ultra series. So the S25, keep in mind this is the S24, it's just, for reference. The corners are gonna be more flat. There's not gonna be these rounded corners anymore, which is a little bit disappointing. We're still gonna get a titanium finish, which is great, but I would say this is just a testament to just how good the Ultra series is to not have that big of a design change. I would say if you are familiar with the Pixel 9, I would say it's probably going to borrow a lot of design elements from here. It's still going to have the iconic vertical camera array for the S25 Ultra, but everything being more flat and squared off is just what we're going to get with the S25 Ultra. The other thing that has changed is the ultra-wide camera lens has been upgraded to 50 megapixels, so we should get better resolution when it comes to taking ultra-wide shots. There's also enhancements that are very AI-rich. So they talked a lot about AI, which I think is completely fine, but I think it's just very interesting how this whole AI stuff is shaking out on smartphones because I feel like it's kind of all over the place. So let's first talk about Gemini. So Gemini is a smart AI assistant that I would say is basically by Google. And the interesting thing is Google always likes to showcase their stuff on Galaxy devices first. So one of the things that you're able to do is, Gemini is able to contextually see things and give you feedback. So one example they had was, I believe someone was looking at jeans on a French website. They asked Gemini a question, what size is it? And Gemini was able to do that. There was another person that was kneading dough or trying to shape dough. And Gemini was able to give them, instructional feedback on that.
Based on the size chart, a medium is equivalent to a size 38. However, since the jeans have a relaxed fit, you might want to consider sizing down to a 36 for a slightly more fitted look.
Your dough looks smooth and elastic, which is a good sign. To be extra sure, try the window pane test. Take a small piece of dough and gently stretch it out. If you can stretch it thin enough to see light through it without tearing, it's ready to go.
So I just find it strange that it's Google that kind of owns this, but it's being debuted on Galaxy devices first. I feel like Google should really just keep that for themselves, but hey, it's a partnership. They're trying to be open. They're trying to be collaborative. I'm all about companies working together. So it's nice that we're getting those features on the Galaxy devices. Now, things that I would say were once kind of Google exclusive or Google Photos exclusive is now available natively on the Samsung devices under the Gallery app. So, that best take feature that we got on the Google series is now available on upcoming Galaxy devices. So under the Gallery app, you're able to do that. Another thing that you're able to do as well that was kind of just reserved for the Pixel devices, and I would say even iPhones as well, is that you're able to dynamically change the bokeh when you're taking portrait shots, so it's not just fixed. So I think that's also a nice capability. So two things that Samsung said that kind of stuck with me during this entire time I'm thinking about the S25 is that they said that this is They are setting the new standard of the mobile industry.
We are setting the standard for mobile AI innovation once again.
And they're also saying that this is a paradigm shift with Galaxy devices. I'm paraphrasing, but honestly, I would say this is kind of a paradigm shift with smartphones overall. This is very interesting of what you're able to do on the new S25 products, although it's leveraging a lot of stuff that's being done with Gemini. So there's something called the personal data engine.
Personalization, we are introducing the personal data engine.
And it's basically, I'd say, a more secure Knox, where a lot of the AI-based tasks that you do are all done on device and not in the cloud. And it's used in a lot of first-party apps, at least from what I could tell. So you could say something like, hey, can you show me this restaurant, or I want the restaurant that's like down the street. Can you send that to my friend in 2 hours? The phone will actually do that itself. So you know that little, take this off. You know that little assistant that was on people's chests, like the R1 or I think even Humane or something like that. That's basically what they were trying to do in the smartphone, and it makes a lot more sense since a lot of the stuff that you do is already on the smartphone. It's not using a lot of third-party apps. So the thing that I noticed the most was a lot of these things are centered around the first-party apps that are on that device. So Samsung has their own calendar app. They have their own reminders app. They have their own notes app. They have their own phone app. So it's like, it's interesting that Gemini, which is Google-based, which Google has Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Notes, like all their stuff on what Google does, but it's using Gemini to do stuff with first-party apps on Samsung, which I think is pretty interesting, to say the least. They did say they worked with Oxford in order to make this new knowledge graph that's centered around you, which I think is also pretty cool. It's like Oxford semantics. Regardless, I think that is going to be a really cool feature to test out on the S25. I'm hoping that those features eventually trickle down to the S24 and maybe even the S23 devices, because I don't know if it's like a chipset thing or if it's more of a software thing. Features that we saw on the iPhone 15 Pro and above with Apple Intelligence about how it's actually using your first-party apps in order to give you a better summary of what your day should be or what you should do. That stuff is starting to trickle over to the Galaxy series, which is being leveraged with Gemini. But the interesting thing is that, you know, Gemini really is just an app. Like if I were to go over to, you know, this device here, which is the I don't know why I'm blanking. This is the OnePlus 13. You can see that, you know, Gemini Live, all that stuff that's being showcased on the Ultra is eventually next going to go over to the Pixel series, which then eventually is just going to be rolled out to, I'd argue, 99% of Android devices that have access to the Google Play Store and even iPhones on the App Store. So I really don't know, once again, why Google is debuting this stuff, not themselves, but with Galaxy, because it kind of makes me feel like Galaxy and Samsung don't really have much to showcase anymore when it comes to smartphones. The hardware itself, I'd say we've kind of peaked at that point. We've really just been focused on software, but the software that they showcased, I thought wasn't like mind-blowing by any means. It was impressive, but it wasn't blowing me away. So I'm excited to see what is available for the upcoming lineup of the S25. I'll make sure to give you guys my proper first impressions when I unbox it and give you guys a day in the life and review. So make sure, get subscribed. Once again, video is sponsored by no one. Might be sponsored by somebody. But as always, guys, appreciate every single sub, like, and comment. And as always, guys, much love. These are a lot of devices, and I have another one in my pocket as well. This is the iPhone 13 in white. I can finally go off Do Not Disturb. Peace. All right, what's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? Do your intro! I can't do it. 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 So when it comes to the S25 and the S20... So when it comes to the S24 and the S20... Ooh, that was clean. Going over to OnePlus UI, One UI 7. Now, let's talk about the One UI 7. Why am I talking about One UI 7? I'm talking about this bad boy, the S24 Ultra. Got to get my phone out real quick.